Well, that was difficult. Turned out to be more than a workout than I expected to. Probably because of the heat. Dew point is probably close to 70 degrees. And temperature is probably around 73. So it's not that easy to stay cool. So you overheat quite easily. Which means a lot of pints of blood are going to the surface of your skin to cool down instead of to the working muscles, which makes it a little more difficult. Having run an hour and 44 minutes 3 days ago, and yesterday an hour and 33 minutes, did not help. I'm tired. So tomorrow is a day off for me. Just going to relax, walk the dogs a little bit as a recovery training. Just to get the blood flowing through the legs, which is nice actually. So I still get like a 2-mile workout in, albeit at a slow pace. But yeah, I'm glad it's over. Vlog number 2, the 1st of January in 2022. Glad that you can make it back again. This time I want to start giving you a little bit more of my background. But first, today, I did a shakeout run, like a recovery run for about 4.25 kilometers, which is a little bit more than 2.5 miles. And I did it in 46 minutes something, which is slow, and it was hard today. High dew point, humidity was high. It was about in the like 70, 72 degrees. So it was tough. I'm tired. It's just my legs are tired, and I could tell it today. It was like, it wasn't enough. So for tomorrow, I got a day off planned, just to recover, give my legs the rest and the need to get the adaptations in that I've tried to force on them through this week. But all in all, it was a pretty good week. It was my week where I've run the most in kilometers and in time. So I'm actually pretty excited of where I am right now with this blog. I just started my new blog. That was my first week of my new blog of 4 weeks running. And that will be followed by 1 week of a little bit slow down in volume, like not as much running, to give you and the body a little bit more time to adjust and adapt. And that seems to be the way that most people nowadays train. They run through blocks of high, increasing intensity and volume, followed by a week where they slow down a bit. So that's my plan as well for now. So this was my first week, so I got 3 more weeks to go, and then I'll take a slow week. So all in all, this was a pretty successful week. Hopefully I can continue this. I started suffering from heart failure back in 2013, I suppose. In 2010, at first, my GP, through a routine checkup, discovered that I had a low heart rate, for which I required a pacemaker. So in December that year, I got my pacemaker. And unfortunately, it didn't really help me that much. And to be sure, the medication that I had to take alongside with it did not help. Most of the medications that I take or have taken since drain energy resources from me. So it's making me more fatigued, so it's hard to tell whether or not something works because there's something else in the regimen that pulls you back down. At any rate, about 2-3 years later, I got my first VTAC, and I was in that VTAC for about 2 hours, after which they switched out my pacemaker for an ICD. In May of 2019, I was diagnosed with limb-girdle muscular dystrophy variant 1B. This particular muscular dystrophy variant has a tendency to affect the heart as well. In my case, the left ventricle. The left ventricle is responsible for pushing out the blood throughout your body with oxygen and nutrients. So it has to be really strong to give that push. And it was failing me. In essence, in short, what a disease does is because of a DNA malfunction, if you will, the muscle cells cannot be repaired or new ones cannot be created, which means any cells that are affected by age, like any other cell in your body, it eventually will degenerate. Usually in healthy persons, proteins will come in, and with the system, it basically regenerates the muscle cells and oftentimes makes it even stronger. In my case, in specific areas, it will not do that because one of the receptors in the cell doesn't work, like it doesn't accept a certain protein. One of those, it's out of 5 proteins that is not accepted, that is necessary as a building block to regenerate cells, which means that it's degenerative. There's no other way around it. Eventually, it will fail. In my case, that happened quite suddenly, actually, at least to me. Within the year, I talked to a cardiologist who was specialized in heart failure. At the first visit, he already told me, next year you're going to need a heart transplant. And my wife and I kind of laughed it off. We're like, that's ridiculous. In the end, he was actually right. Within the year, I was in the hospital and I received my heart transplant. Now, obviously, the LGMD, limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, is still affecting other areas around the limb attachments to the main body, meaning the shoulders and the hips, and the connecting muscle groups to that. And we don't know to what extent, because that varies from person to person. It doesn't even affect all muscles in those areas, so we don't even know how much it will affect or is affecting my system. So it's also one of the reasons why I'm going to be slow, because my hips are probably going to be affected. So yeah, all in all, I got the heart transplant at Duke in Durham. Fantastic team. And one big shout out for all donors and donor families out there who, after the demise of a loved one, decide to donate organs to people who need it, like in my case, the heart, to give them a second chance. One of the reasons why I started running and I want to do this is as a tribute to my donor. I want to make sure that I treat it with the respect that I believe it deserves. The act of kindness is incomprehensible to me, and I am so grateful to have been given this second chance. So that's also why I've been trying to get this vlog up and running. Yeah. Thank you. Um, I hope that this is going to be one absolutely fantastic year for me. I believe it can be. I'm going to do my darndest to make it that way. I hope you have a wonderful new year. Um, hopefully, I'll load another video up tomorrow. Take care.